This is Awards Buzz, and we're here talking about the Oscar shortlisted short film Butcher's Stain. How are you today?
I'm amazing. How are you?
Good. I was very intrigued about this film, and as soon as it finished, very excited to talk to you. My first question is this based on a true story?
So, yes and no. I did work at the supermarket for a year and a half. Half a year was actually after the 7th of October, events in Israel. So there was a lot of tension between the Palestinian Israelis and the Jewish Israelis within the supermarket. And that was kind of what sparked the idea for me. It didn't specifically happen the way it does in the film. Obviously there was some writing going on. But it definitely was based on kind of my experience with the kind of trauma that happened after those events, and then racism and discrimination that came out of that as a reaction. And I really kind of wanted to tell like a human story around that to try to, touch a few different subjects in a way that, people could really connect in the human sense and not necessarily, feel like I'm trying to push a specific political message.
Well, I think the way that the story plays out is actually quite clever, and I'll let people discover that for themselves. But it's interesting because here in the United States and in a lot of other places, I feel like the idea of ripping down the hostage posters was something that was not, we don't know who did this. There were a lot of things where people were recorded and proudly responding and saying, yes, I'm taking these down. They shouldn't be taken down. And so it's especially interesting to see this kind of film when this is something that was always something much more serious. And I wonder if within Israel, it was actually a very different phenomenon than what we see because it was so close. But also, you have somebody, like this main character who is working there, who's surrounded by other people, who is should be more upset that people are even suspecting of something because he's never given them any indication. And especially with somebody who's saying they saw him and he knows that's not true. I appreciate that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it really is about the kind of complexity that you're talking about. It is a very different experience, the way that people think about Israel outside of Israel and the way that people think about it within Israel, especially, stuff like hostages. There's all kinds of politics that play into, the way that people think about that issue. So I think that really, as a premise, some people, have gotten, sort of I would say angry about the premise itself when they see certain articles about it or whatever. But the film itself is really trying to touch on those issues in the complex ways that they exist. And this is really symbolizes what exactly is going on, because you have the hostage posters, and there really are hostages, and they're there, and you have this Palestinian that's working at the supermarket who is suddenly accused of tearing down that. And sort of like the idea of accusing a Palestinian Israeli of, um, ripping down posters that symbolize what happened. So I think that it's really playing into those issues of, what happened, and then the kind of thing that happens afterwards, within Israeli society. But I think it could have to do with other societies as well.
It also reminded me positively of an Oscar shortlisted film from last year, An Orange in Jaffa, which has this sort of whimsical quality to it, even though what's surrounding it is so much more serious. We obviously see there are a lot of other films this year dealing with the, Israeli-Palestinian conflict that are rooted in seriousness and in truth and other things. And I like that these two films approach it from sometimes there are, little moments of humor within something much more serious. And interpreting things and assuming things never gets us anywhere good.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think discrimination is all about believing in stereotypes. And I think that really what this film is supposed to be is to just, to try to make people think about these kind of stereotypes and these former beliefs, um, from the beginning, try to think about them in a different way. It's supposed to kind of break everything that you think beforehand in order to make room for thinking about these issues in new ways, thinking about Palestinian Israelis in new ways, and thinking about all kinds of human beings in new ways. And I think that that's really what I tried to do in order to kind of create a conversation and bring people together. Because there's no way of bringing people together if you don't first break stereotypes and tear those kind of things down and bring the human into the equation.
You mentioned before some opposition to the premise, and I know that I've read about how The Sea winning the Ophir Award was met with predictably negative reaction from. Now, I remember this back to Foxtrot years ago. When people just assume there's certain parts of something. Has it been a challenge to get this film shown throughout Israel?
So when you enter into festivals, you never know why it hasn't gotten in. We haven't done festivals here yet. So the Student Academy Award that we won, and now being on the Oscar shortlist is really the film's beginning. So it's just such a surreal experience for me and my producer Ron Caspi. Um, but I think that, when it was written about in articles, people tend to get mad. People are very, very on edge here because, we are still within something that's, somewhat a war. I mean, the hostages have come back, but, the war is still kind of going on in its own way. And people are really, on edge. People from all around, are victims of, all sorts of stuff. So, I think that people really get mad when someone talks about these issues, and I think that's really why I wanted to speak about these issues because I think that there's really no way of fixing something unless we talk about it. And there's a lot of silence, not only in Israel but all around the world around issues like this. And I really wanted to open up a conversation in order to make people come together and respect each other.
What kind of feedback, if any, have you received from Palestinian or Arab Israeli communities?
We've received a lot of love and a lot of great feedback. Our The main actor Omar Samir, which is by far the most professional and the best actor that I've ever worked with, he has become a little bit of a celebrity within his community in Al-Fahim. Um, that really made me happy that he's getting the kind of attention that he deserves. And I think that, the story itself, what I really tried to do, especially with his, the side plot with his, uh, um, the fact that he's divorced and, going through all of that, I really wanted to create a character that really he is obviously a Palestinian Israeli, but more than that, he's just Samir. He's really just a guy, he's really just a guy who works and tries to make a living for his family, and that's where it ends. He does not have anything to do with what's going on politically in Israel, and he gets consumed in it, not by choice, and he has to deal with all of that. And I just thought that really isn't fair, and that's really what the film is about an individual being forced into um, a political conundrum that he has nothing to do with.
I feel like it ends very poignantly, but I know that successful shorts, there's always talk of could there be a feature? Is that something you're thinking about, or is this the full story here?
Well, I am definitely intrigued and fascinated by Israeli society and politics and you know everything that has to do with that. So that is really where my heart and where my filmmaking is at this point. Um, all of this, all the awards and all of that, other than the fact that it's amazing to, receive an award and that kind of recognition. It's really all for, me to be able to say, I've made a film and people have seen it and people have voted for it, and um, maybe, hopefully, that will be able to, give me the opportunity to get the kind of support that I need to make a larger film. But I'm definitely in that, political Israeli society kind of area in terms of the art that I'm making, because it just kind of fascinates me the way that, you know, things are, and politics all around the world. It really intrigues me, just the human part of it, I think, less than the political part.
Absolutely. Before I let you go, is there a film, whether it's a short or a feature, that is really sticking with you and impressing you this year?
Well, I am a diehard Paul Thomas Anderson fan. One battle after another. I've seen that twice at this point. So, that's really that's definitely something that has stayed with me. But I've seen a few other films. I'm trying to remember if this was this year. The Apprentice became one of my favorites immediately. The Smashing Machine, love that. I really love the kind of alternative American filmmaking that the Safdie brothers do, and the Paul Thomas Anderson does. I really like things that are coming out recently. I mean, I think it's like I really think that it's some sort of golden age in filmmaking that only years to come we will understand how amazing it was.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time and best of luck with this film.
Thank you so much.